To say you gotta know somebody, or know somebody to get somewhere these days. To say you know that's alright, yeah that's alright, cause you know that's alright with me. Yeah, you know that's alright, yeah that's alright, cause you know that's alright.
Yeah, we can look into that.
I mean,
Oh, and I got these three condos that came in. I'm just getting an email.
please stop. Focus on the topic.
Three condos.
It's kind of hard to put together a private money placement generator form without having some.
Pictures. and
Yeah,
stuff.
but we got pictures. You can get them off the internet. Maybe that's what we should do first. We should.
We should have
Because
private money
there's
placements
several ways
for all
we could.
six. Yeah, for all six. Or seven.
We put it all together as one package or as individual and just start feeding it out there. I think it's a strong deal, and we're gonna raise the money for it. It's just a matter of how hard we have to work at it to do it.
And our closing's April 15th, unless we were to postpone it. But as of April, and frankly, they don't really have much reason for it to be that soon. So if we needed to postpone it, I'm sure they'd be acceptable there. They say we can close as quickly or as slow as you want. They're getting cash flow from the property, so it's not killing them to wait.
Well, so it's April 15th.
April
now.
15th as of now.
Leave it there, 6
And I think
weeks.
if we were to go out, let's say, do the idea where we get credit partners that go, people that would want to go in on the deal with us and go out and get a loan based on their income and their W-2 job, they would need time to qualify for the loan and go through that whole process. At this point, we're at what?
They probably would need all
45 days.
All of it.
We're at 45 days.
Yeah, but if that's getting approved or is approved, then getting an extension will be a breeze.
Okay.
So,
And we don't have to close them all at the same time either. We can also, as one comes up, close on it right away. Now that we got them all under contract, essentially it's all under one contract for $725. I think we can go back to them and say, hey, here's a breakdown of what we.
did you email me the contract?
Now,
You got it.
I got it right here.
Yeah.
I got it right here.
Make sure you put the right price on it.
Yeah, right. I was saying it was $750. That is like $750 was the 12-unit apartment building. This one's
Yeah. So, the two strategies are: we go to a private lender, we borrow all the cash we need to buy the whole thing for $725, plus whatever repair monies is needed and even a little vacation rental money. And then that private lender, in 6 months' time, goes to a bank and refis the whole thing. And let's assume that we got a pretty good deal on it, so we assume that it'll appraise for higher than these numbers. But even if it appraised for exactly these numbers, he'd get back 80% of his money in 6 months, and he'd have we'd make payments to him on the remaining 20% part that wasn't refinanced out of the deal. And then what we would do is give him an equity piece in a deal for doing this whole thing. That would be one way to do it. The other way to do it, but that's a lot of cash to raise. The other way to do it would be, we find individuals who have strong income, and they come down there and they get qualified for a mortgage up front, and the 20% comes from. So we raise the 20% from our private lending sources, and the bank comes up with the 80% based on the income stream of the individual who's going to be our partner. So that's another way to do it, where we give the guy with the income piece of the deal, we get a piece of the deal, and the private lender gets payments made to him. So those are two ways that we're looking at right now. Is there a third way that I'm not thinking of?
Well, I mean, I guess from a private lender perspective, like you said, it could be somebody that has a line of credit that we get somebody that has a line of credit or something they can do it as a cash deal and then pull their money out, like you said. You could have somebody that's an equity partner that puts up the money and we do all the management, where we don't have any payments to them and they get a piece of the deal. So somebody that say, look, I'll put up the money, you guys do all the work, and then we divvy up the deal from an equity partnership that way. I think I like the credit partner idea the best, simply because, and it doesn't have to be on all of them, but as many as we can.
Yeah, the problem with that,
because it's 30-year financing. And
okay,
really
I know you
low
like it
rates.
the best, but the problem is it's the has the highest chance of failing.
Because of the
Because
contingency.
there's a third party bank
lenders,
involved in
banks.
making the
Yeah.
decision.
Yeah.
Where if we put up the cash first, fix up the properties, rent them out,
Refinance.
refinancing is almost a
We got
no-brainer.
time that we can wait. Yeah, we're not under a deadline. Yeah.
Yeah. But what could happen is you bring in these income individuals, and one guy can't buy all six, so you got to bring in multiple people. And they bring in multiple people, and some of them may get approved, some of them may not.
Sure.
It also depends on the appraisal.
So doing it as cash and then refinancing out is probably the best way to go.
Yeah, but that's a hell of a lot of cash you're talking about. It's not. You're talking about.
Well, I'm saying it could be 5 different people. It could be 4 different people with cash. It could be 6 different people with
Yeah,
cash.
each deal individually is very affordable at 120 grand. Maybe the way to do it is, I'm thinking we offer out each individual duplex as, how'd you like to own a piece of a Florida deal that you could use, and then now you're only looking for a private lender, you know, like some of the previous deals we've done, where a private lender puts up the money, and in exchange he gets a third ownership in the deal. You're not talking about a lot of cash. Each individual deal would be about minimum 125 grand. Probably be more appropriate to be more like a Bentley deal where it's 140, 150. But we wouldn't need that much on every one, especially the ones that are annual renters.
No, I got some big pocket private investors down in Florida too that I think we could go to.
Okay,
The guy that walked in the store.
I'm just trying to classify that. So the big money guys we go to for the whole package. That's option 1. Option 2 is the conventional method where we give a piece of the deal to a high income individual. And the third option, which I just mentioned, which I think might be the easiest. Is you go to 6 individual investors to put up a minimum of 125 grand, probably more like $150 each one.
And then they're just debt financing at that point. We're paying them interest only. Yeah. And then you could refinance them out. They can either refinance themselves out.
You don't have to define you don't have to define the exit strategy. Okay, like the debt. A guy puts up 150 grand to own a piece of a Florida deal. He can get debt financing, meaning we're paying him 7% interest only, and he gets 2 free weeks vacation a year at the place. Option 2, he becomes a third owner in it, so he gets all the 1/3 of all the upside potential in these deals, which we think is tremendous. That's why we're doing it, and he gets 1/3 of the cash flow. So he's still getting payments, but it's lower.
And you know the whole strategy behind these, the reason we're buying duplexes that is in Florida. In Sarasota, where we're investing, it's Siesta Key, #1 beach in the United States, voted 2011. But it has to be zone multifamily to do short-term rentals. So we're taking existing long-term rentals. They have annual tenants, just regular tenants in them. It's close enough to the beach that we can rent them as vacation rentals. So as these tenants move out, we're going to furnish the places. That's what's going to make the cash flow bump from where they are right now. So as of now, the cash flow works, but it's going to work even better as a vacation rental.
So what I want to focus on this video is just the financing techniques. So you got your big, you got your big dollar,
deep pocket investor,
private money guy. That's option 1, and then followed by a refi. Okay.
And the refi could be them or it could be somebody else. It doesn't have to be them. Like we had one guy that said he wanted to put his money up and then refinance his money back out, but we could just as easily put his money up and then pay him off with somebody else refining out. Or us refining them, whatever.
You got your partner with high income who gets qualified for the mortgage, straight up.
One blanket mortgage? You're talking?
No, for individual properties, or maybe if it's possible to do multiple, like maybe one investor wants to do three, something like that. And then we just have to raise the private money to make the deal happen from a down money standpoint. The third way seems the easiest, which is kind of like what we did with our friend who used to be a pilot. Is we bring him in with multiple options. He could just get payments and use for 2 weeks a year, or he can put up all the money needed. Now you're not talking about a ton of money. You're talking about 150 grand. There's a lot of people that have that kind of money that would invest in a deal in Florida to be an equity partner or to be. It almost sounds like it's the easiest way. It's.
Well, there's IRA money, which any of these could be coming from IRA money. I will say that not all of these are going to be immediate vacation rentals, and and somebody with an IRA can't get the benefit of use because it's their IRA, so they can't actually go and stay there. So the ones that have, if we look at these leases, the ones that have the longest leases that are still within their lease, that's where we put the IRA money on. That's just kind of an aside as to, so somebody that's got IRA money can't use the property. We use that for the leases that are under contract for the longest. The leases that are coming up due that we're going to convert to vacation rentals, that's where we can offer that 2 weeks vacation as part of it.
I'm thinking that won't be too hard. That'll actually get it done.
So that's pretty much, we need to draw up 6 different private placements, or we can draw up one as the whole kit too. But I think it's better just do it as 6 and put it out there and say, if you'd like one or more of these, we can talk to our existing pool of private
I
investors.
think for the big money guys, I'll just call them.
Sure.
And the other method will just do the private money placement generator form and blast it out, and then follow up calls later on. I mean, this is what you need. You need a couple of guys that are in our pilots.
And frankly, we can put one together for the highest price one and one together for the lowest price one, and just send out 2. And if somebody says, it's most likely they're not going to say I can do both. If they say
Prices are pretty close. I mean,
it's so close. Yeah.
And I would just put one. I would
140 and 114 is the
find whichever one is most close to 120, and just use that. I mean, or even you put them all together. What's the difference? It doesn't matter. You show there's some options there. We better get cracking on it though, because it's 6 deals in one shot. So
we'll go get some pictures. Maybe I can ask the seller if they have any pictures, or just you want to just take them off of like Google, drive by Google thing.
Just get some pictures for now, and then next week we'll update it after we bring them the actual pictures.
Just get a front picture. We'll get a map picture. We'll put that into our private money package.
I could get started making some phone calls right now.
You said a big lender. What about one big package and get it from 6 different people?
Well, what do you
Well,
mean?
there's an
You
issue.
said a big
You're not allowed
lender.
to.
There's an issue with commingling funds. So like, we can't basically, like if we were to have a blanket mortgage and have 6 individuals go in on it as one big package, the reason we can do that with this deal is because we have 6 different mortgages because there's 6 different parcels. Let's just say we actually just made a bid and got.
You can't do that as a trust, though,
We
and have
can't.
them beneficiaries. Certain
You get into like
percentage.
securities law if you start bundling money together. So the best way to stay out
Okay.
of securities realm is to have one investor per one mortgage per one house. And as long as we can, adhere to that strategy, it's not a securities offering. The other thing to consider is that if we have private investors up here, this is also Florida. So if we're investing for up here for Pennsylvania properties, and we're using Pennsylvania investors, we're staying within the state. We're only subject to Pennsylvania securities law. If we have Florida property and Pennsylvania investors, now we're subject to Florida securities law, Pennsylvania securities law, and national SEC law. SEC doesn't even come up as long as you stay within your state. So we have to make sure that we follow all 3 of those guidelines. And the way to do that safely is not to pool money together. So we don't want to do that. If we had just the one apartment building, as I said, it'd be tougher to find one individual for one big apartment building at $750,000. But the fact that we have 6 parcels on this, we can break it up to about 125 a piece or whatever it may be. So I think that's what makes the deal a little bit easier to raise the money for. Now, granted, $1 million, raising $750,000. There's a lot of people that's kind of a funny range, because a lot of people I know would lend from $1 million to $15 million in the hedge fund category. The hard money guys, the guys that but just around $750,000, $1 million. That's kind of a weird ballpark for people. So.
All right. Well, I mean, those are the 3 ideas. I'll bet you right now.
Make a couple phone calls.
I bet you right now. I mean, it won't take very long, because I don't know that many guys that have $1 million in cash laying around. So I'm gonna make a bunch of phone calls, and I'll know real quick whether that's gonna work, and then I'll just go right into the other. The high income individual with the bank just scares me a little bit. I mean,
Contingency.
well, because I hate to put the control of our deal in someone else's hands.
In the bank's hands.
Right, in the bank's hands. Like, we have a friend who's already, like, very excited about doing this with us in Florida because it's a way for him to buy a house with none of his own money. And he knows the business, so he'll make the deal fly. But,
well, if he could be the refi guy, he could be the refi guy or on one or more of these properties. That's a way for him to get involved, and you know that's a way for him to benefit and us to benefit from that deal.
I can multitask. I can do this and talk about real estate.
I know you came from an Italian family, but I thought they were Masons, not Taylors.
Yeah, they're Masons, but a lot of Italians were Taylors too. I was on my mother's side. The stonemasons are on my father's side.
Now I know why you named your son.
All right. Well, I think that's the concept. So this financing discussion about how to use private money to put together 8 real estate deals. Stay tuned for part 2 when we tell you what we really did and whatever challenges are going to come with these properties. You can bet your butt that if you're going to buy 8 properties, something's going to come up. Some challenges are going to come up. This is Phil Falcone signing out from Addicted to Real Estate, and
I'm Jeremy Ricci, also from Addicted to Real Estate.